Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be looking at how to make these Anna ears. I'm gonna make sure I insert a picture right here, and I literally have to say it so that I don't forget. I made these for my BFF, Natalie, who went to Disney World over our holiday break as teachers with her family, and her daughter really wanted to wear the Elsa ears that I already had, so I made some Anna ears for them, and then I made her husband a baseball cap with like Kristoff ears, which will also be uploading soon. So if you guys want to see how I made these ears, just stay tuned. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I make ear videos pretty regularly and other types of DIYs. Pretty soon I've got some really fun collabs coming up, so stay tuned for those. And without further ado, let's get into the tutorial.
So for these Anna inspired ears, you're going to want 2 small pieces of craft foam, some stuffing, a sewing machine or needle and thread, sewing pins, the ear templates which are in the description box below, a 1-inch headband, some black fabric, green ribbon, gold trim, puffy paint in pink, purple, blue, green, a gold bow, hot glue gun, hot glue sticks, and then I highly recommend using a silver Sharpie for marking your black fabric. It's really hard to see anything else when you mark black fabric, obviously. You will also need some stuffing if you'd like your ears to be fluffy. This is the green ribbon I chose to use. This was another option that I had, but I chose to go with the darker, more of like an evergreen. For my trim, I went with this gold rope looking trim that I found at Hobby Lobby. This is my green fabric. And then for the black fabric, I chose this velvety material. The gold bow I got from Hobby Lobby was actually pre-made, and it had this little hair clip on the back that I just used wire cutters to cut off. These were the Puffy Paints I started with, and their Tulip brand. I actually suggest using Puffy Paint brand. It worked a lot better and was a lot more controllable. These are the ear templates that you're going to need. Again, they're in the description box below, and then you'll also need some craft foam. I just use these 2 kind of thin pieces. So start out with your foam and batting template and trace that onto your craft foam. The craft foam does work a little better when you match it to your fabric. This is just the color I had on hand. Go ahead and cut out 4 pieces total, and then you're going to hot glue 2 and 2 together. So you'll have 4 at the start, and then you'll have 2 after you've hot glued them. Now go ahead and take your ear cutting line template, and you're going to trace this onto the green fabric. You need 2, 1 for each side of the ear, and then cut these out with fabric scissors. I'm sorry if you can hear my daughter in the background. Alright, so this is what the ribbon's going to look like when it's done. So I'm kind of going to show you how I did this. So you're going to just take the green ribbon and cut it into 4 pieces, and then you're just going to glue it down onto the lighter green fabric. When you do the back, the reason I showed you this side is because you want to make sure that they match up with the first side that you did. This part isn't important for the first side you do, obviously. It's more important for the second side that you do. But make sure they match up. Also make sure that you're not gluing the ribbon down onto the original ear, because then you'll have to like detach it. But go ahead and make the ribbon extra long, because then you can just go in and trim off the excess, and it's a lot easier to fix that than it is to try to make the ribbon longer than it is. But yeah, apply a very thin amount of hot glue and press down the ribbon onto the fabric, and make sure it's all lined up. As you can see, mine was not perfect, and I actually went in and kind of peeled it off a little bit to fidget with it and get it a little more evenly lined up. Obviously, when you do that, you can create puckers in your fabric, so maybe take your time a little more than I did. So now I'm just making sure that they still line up nicely. And then I am pinning the 2 ears together. Obviously, this side of the ear is to resemble Anna's skirt at the coronation, and then the other side of the ear is going to supposed to resemble her top. So now take the ear sewing line template, and I have this disappearing ink fabric marker I like to use, and I trace this line onto the back of the ear. Make sure that you're doing this on the back of the ear, not the side where you can see the ribbon. And then I went in and trimmed off the excess ribbon, And then you can go ahead and take that over to your sewing machine and sew it. If you don't know how to use a sewing machine, you can also hand sew these. I will link my Beauty and the Beast ear tutorial below, and that shows you both ways of using the sewing machine versus using the hand sewing technique if you need it. But this is what the ear looks like once you've sewn it. And then you're going to take those craft foam ears that you made earlier and you're going to taco fold them and then put them inside the ear. If it is too tight, feel free to pull the foam out and trim it as needed and then try again. Just trim little by little so that you don't take away from the shape, because that's why these are so important. They give it that really nice Mickey ear shape. After that, if you'd like it to be fluffy, you can go ahead and stuff the ear to whatever fullness you like. And then we're going to go ahead and take the hot glue gun and use that to close up the bottom of the ear. I did need to trim up the ribbon on the bottom before I went in with my hot glue gun, so if you need to do that, go ahead. The hardest part about closing a fluffy ear is that stuffing is going to try to poke out as much as it can, so just be careful, take your time, try not to use too much hot glue at once, and then you can obviously trim up anything that you need to at the end. So now I'm actually going to go in with that gold rope looking trim and add it to the rim of the ear before I attach the ear to the headband. Just follow the seam that you created when you sewed the ear and just work little by little. You don't want the hot glue to dry before you can get to it, and you don't want to be rushing to lay down the trim. Once you've gotten to the end, you can go ahead and trim or cut the trim, and I went out of frame, I'm so sorry. And then you can glue down the edge to look nice. So this is the design that you're going to be doing with the Puffy Paint. I pulled up a reference picture of her skirt while I was working, but I kind of simplified it a little bit because the ear is so tiny. But basically it's kind of these little V shapes that go like right side up and then upside down, and then they have like a little pink dot in the middle. I also thought it would be really cute if you added little rhinestones. I just didn't have any that were tiny enough to do that. But this is where I switched over to using the Puffy Paint because the other type of paint, the tulip paint, just didn't work as well. So now moving on to the black fabric, I'm trying to show you the ear line that I traced, but it's the same method that we did with the green. This is why I said the silver Sharpie is so helpful. Go ahead and cut out, use the ear cutting line template and cut out 2 pieces of black fabric for the front and the back of the ear. The velvet fabric ended up being really stretchy, which made it a little bit harder to keep the shape true, and it ended up a little bit bigger than my green ear. What would have prevented that is using the same type of silky fabric that I did for the green ear. So if you want to do that, just some advice. If you want the velvet, that's totally fine. Just really try not to stretch the fabric while you're marking the line. Then take the ear sewing line template and mark your sewing line, same as you did before. Again, this is where the silver Sharpie would have been super helpful. And then same technique as with the green ear. You'll stitch the line, turn it right side out, put the foam in, put the stuffing in, and hot glue up the bottom. I just didn't want to make this video 20 minutes long showing you guys all the exact same steps again, so. And then you can move the stuffing around once you've actually closed the ear up if you're noticing it's kind of too puffy in some areas. So now I'm going in with the Puffy Paint, and this is when I used the tulip paint, and I did not like it. It was a lot harder to control. It didn't come out as thin as the Puffy Paint lines do, and it wasn't puffy. I mean, I know it's not technically Puffy Paint, but I kind of expected it. It said something on the box about being like the #1 brand, and I just was not super impressed. So if you don't already own some, I would suggest going and getting Puffy Paint brand. This sounds like a Puffy Paint commercial. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not sponsoring for them. But this design was obviously a little more complicated. Just take your time. I feel like I rushed this a little bit and took my time way more on the green ear, so it turned out a little bit nicer, but you can also tweak the pattern as needed. Oh yeah, you just saw me get a little bit of green randomly all over the ear, but it did wipe off really nicely. But yeah, just take your time, be patient, Try not to watch TV while you're doing this part. And then obviously use a photo for reference, and you'll be able to get the design a little bit closer to what the actual movie design looks like. Okay, so now for headband attachment. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know this part, but basically I like to place my ears about 2.5 inches apart, and then I put some hot glue on the bottom of the ear and firmly press it down to the headband. If you're having trouble lining them up and you have another set of ears, you can use those as a guide. If not, just take your time, set them down, try them on your head, and take a little marker and mark where each ear you'd like it to end up, and then go in and glue them down. After I glued down the green ear, I went in with that gold trim and I lined the bottom of the ear just to give it a really nice finished look. Then I did the same thing with the black ear. And see, you can see me actually using one of my other set of ears just to make sure I like the spacing. Same thing, line the bottom of the ear, and then I did this same technique on the back. This also is a great technique if you use too much hot glue and you need to hide it. So now for the bow. This part is so awesome because the bow's already done. I just applied some hot glue on the bottom of the bow and pressed it down firmly in the center of the ear, and that was it for the front. So I decided to go on the back and do some more puffy paint designs. I don't think I filmed the back of the black ear, but it's basically the design on the back of Anna's corset, which you can also find reference photos for. And then I just matched the back green ear to the front of the green ear. So as a cute little, detail, I decided to add these 3 green ribbon strands, similar to the ones that Anna has in her hair in the scene for the coronation. I wish I'd done this before the bow, but it's okay. Just add a little drop of hot glue on the end of the ribbon, and I decided to put 2 kind of on the side and then 1 right behind the bow. And then these were not perfectly even when I attached them, so I lined them up and then I trimmed them, and this was the final product of the ears, totally done. I really loved how the back of the ears came out even more than the front. So it's just a testament to taking your time. I hope you guys liked this video. Please stay tuned for future DIYs. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button and leave me any comments for requests for future videos. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I hope you like this tutorial. Bye!